Hello, welcome back to Shacknews Live at E3. We're here in our booth, and I'm talking to Arthur Parsons about Lego Marvel Superheroes 2.
Yep,
Almost tripped over my tongue there.
It's the last day of E3.
I know, we got like an hour to go.
Yeah.
So how's your show been going?
Incredibly busy.
Yeah,
like
sure.
super busy. It has been like awesome. I think it's also been really good having actual gamers as well, mixing it up with obviously developers and journalists and everything.
Like a series like Lego and Marvel, you get to see the fan, the passion firsthand this time.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's been really great, because we'll go to Comic-Con conventions and things like that, and you get that excitement, and I think that's been brought to E3 this year with kind of these extra sort of actual gamers joining the mix with the likes of you and I. But yeah, it's been a really good E3 this year, and Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 it's been pretty popular.
I mean, speaking of fan passion, I love your shirt. Can you just show people on camera real quick? It's Lego Spider-Gwen.
Who
one of my favorite recent comic characters.
Features heavily in the story.
Yeah, she's right there on the cover. It's very exciting for me.
Yeah.
So one thing that's cool about this is obviously a sequel to Lego Marvel Superheroes. One thing that's cool about the Marvel Universe is that it adapts so fast. There's always so many new characters. There's so much new things. When Lego Spider-Gwen is a new addition because she actually came out since the last one, right? Like, you have this constant pool of new characters that you can choose from.
And that's really exciting for us, because with Lego Marvel Superheroes 1 and Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, we're going like characters from like everywhere. This game more so than the first, because this game's kind of key.
The first was kind of like Avengers and Friends, Like, and this seems like a much wider gamut, getting kind of cosmic characters.
Yeah, and the reason being because the main villain's Kang the Conqueror. So he's from the 40th century. He can time travel. He's got all kind of crazy powers, and that allows us to then bring in Wild West Captain America. It allows us to bring in Spider-Man 2099. It allows us to really go to all the various ends of the Marvel universe, and that's, I think, what's really exciting, because you can have 4 or 5 variants of Spider-Man characters all together. It's like, why not? It's really cool, and we're going on a journey that's an original comic book based story through all sorts of locations and events and encountering villains that people are going to know from movies, from comics, from TV shows, cartoons, you name it.
Yeah, I mean, and by nature of being a little more humorous, a little more cheeky about it, you guys can just kind of throw everything in the pot instead of being like, we need to make this believably that all these characters will be in here,
Yeah, but although saying that, authenticity is king for us, and we co-wrote the story with a guy called Kurt Busiek, who is a Marvel writer. And he wrote he's written he wrote Avengers Forever, and also a run referred to as Kang Dynasty in Avengers. Both of those are really strong Kang stories. So we got Kurt to come in and help us to nail the story, make sure it is like believable. Although we are obviously taking the Mickey and being Lego and goofy,
cute,
and
Lego,
absolutely.
And for a long time, Lego games didn't really have like spoken dialogue. More recently, they have had that. Where do you start with that? Do you consult with Marvel Comics? Do you have them sort of define the characters and give you character Bibles or anything? Or how does that work?
No, I think because we know the characters really well, because we're all fans, we'll sort of like distill the characters down, figure out what we want to do with them. We'll write gags for them and everything else, and then we just work with Marvel, and they just give it that final sort of rubber stamp of approval. But no, a lot of that hard work and effort is down to our character team, our animation team, and our writers.
So we glossed over this quickly. I want to get into a little more detail about it. You said the villain is Kang the Conqueror. Can you give us a quick overview of the plot and how all these different characters are coming in?
Yeah, sure. So Kang the Conqueror is known for being a really noble villain, and he won't just come in and vaporize people with his 40th century technology.
Like all those other villains.
Yeah, right? Exactly. No, he comes in and he wants to beat the best of the best in their prime, fair and square. And so he comes back, and that allows us to kind of do all sorts with him. But he comes back and he's basically trying to take all these pieces of Marvel and form a city called Chronopolis, and that's kind of, Kang just wants to rule over that. and that's Marvel realities from, like I say, all the time periods and all the locations. And then that's how the story kind of weaves together, because he turns up on Earth, turns up on Xandar, the heroes are all like, what's going on? And you follow this slowly unraveling story of all these villains are working for this main bad guy, and there's loads of cool plot twists, and Kang's there with his wife Ravonna, and there's kind of twists there towards the end, but it's a really sort of interesting story, which if it was a comic would be one of those page turners that you're like, oh, I can't believe this, I can't believe this. So we're kind of...
It would definitely be one of the annual events, since it involves so many universes.
Yeah, exactly. I think so, because everything's kind of crashing together. And that's really cool, because you're getting like future characters going to like, you know, really, really ancient sort of locations, and then interacting with characters that are from other locations all together, and that slow sort of like ticking time bomb really of all this builds towards this sort of epic crescendo. It's for a Lego game, it's a really strong thing. We invested a lot of time in the story. It's not just sort of like we did say with Marvel 1, where it was like, oh, what are we going to do? I know, let's just take all the characters we know and then go, yeah, I want to go here and here and here. Mm-hmm. This was more about having that in tandem with a great story.
Yeah, and you've got all these great characters to choose from. They've all got a lot of personality, and the Lego games are especially good at expressing personality. I know there's one gameplay element in this where each of the characters has sort of a move that is kind of about showing off their personality. I believe I read that Gwen Stacy will take selfies in some way. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Spider-Gwen can take selfies. She also has a special move where she just like pops out a drum kit because obviously she's the drummer from Mary Jane's, and like she plays the drums and then everything gets exploded and kills bad guys. Star-Lord can put his Walkman on and listen to his awesome mixtape, and then everyone stops fighting and there's just dancing. Every character has something that absolutely sort of personifies that character. And again, it's so important for a Lego game, personality and vibrancy.
That had to be a task for you guys, because Lego games have gigantic rosters. I mean,
they do.
They've been sort of known for having like just a screen full of tiny icons, full of. Can you give us a loose number?
It's say like around 200.
That's a lot of characters.
It is a lot of characters.
Each of them has a unique little personality trait.
Every single one of them gets like a lot of attention to make sure that all their powers and abilities and everything is nailed on. It's down to the team really. They are masters of what they do, and we just we love what we do.
Do they fit into different like types, like the Spider-Men will have similar powers but differentiation, and brutes like Hulk will
to some extent there's obviously an amount of things that are shared between characters. Wild West Captain America and current day Captain America, they'll share an amount of content, but they do still have different special moves, they do still have slightly different fighting styles. So it all comes down to how important we see the character, like how big a part are they in the story. Well, they'll get more attention, but everyone gets like a really high level of attention. It's just some get that like cherry on top sort of moment.
Yeah, and it's actually been a while since the first Lego Marvel Superheroes.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. And there have been other Lego games in the meantime. So what elements from this are we going to recognize from the other Lego games that weren't necessarily in the first one?
Well, there's obviously there's that shared Lego DNA of the fun and the humor and the whimsy and the unexpected and the gameplay variety. But from the foundations of the first game, we've kind of upped the ante. So there's a much bigger open world. So Chronopolis is just huge. There's like a bigger roster. Interesting you said before about like the screen shows a load of tiny little icons.
Yeah.
They're actually now like baseball trading cards. So you can click on a character. So instead of just seeing an icon, you see the card, click on the card, it'll go big, it'll tell you a bit about the character, their abilities, the comic that they first appeared in, for example, and kind of just everything's getting a refresh. Status screens have changed, you're basically now, at the end of a level, you make a little comic and you can see your progress in that way. So we've tried to really really update everything.
Cool. And one thing I love about the Lego games, it's a legacy thing that nobody does anymore. No one does cheat codes anymore. and Lego games still have cheat codes.
I know, yeah.
It's this cool throwback. Why does Lego still do that? What's the persistence?
We kind of, it's one of those things, you know, both Lego and Marvel, you put those two together. Well, Lego, there's a huge array of play sets. Marvel, there's a huge array of content, both comics and movies and everything else. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, there are fans of the game that are fans of these other things and vice versa. So if someone goes out and buys whatever the cool new Lego set is, well, why not reward them with a code that they can put in the game? Yeah. And if they put that in the game, well, that thing that they paid money for to play with physically, well, they can play it digitally. They don't have to go and unlock it. They can just get it straight away. So it's more of a synergy thing, I think, more than anything else. And I also think when I was a kid growing up, there was always that, I didn't like cheating, but every now and again it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna, and you do it, and it's that sort of that element of gaming where you're just like, I feel like I've got one over the game.
Yeah.
Because I've gone on the internet and found a cheat code or something.
And that's how games used to be. Like, oh, I got one over on the developers. It was, I think the phrase "beat the game" was because people thought it was like a task, like you had to beat it.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I will beat this game. Yeah, I beat this game. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things that's just a little bit cool and quirky.
It's a lot different than anything you see from a lot of other developers. You mentioned working with Marvel, working with Lego. You're sort of working with two really big licenses at once.
Yep.
What is it like balancing that? And obviously Warner Brothers is its own big company.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
You're pleasing three masters all at once. So what is that like working with all these considerations?
Well, it's weird. You know, people would probably think that working with effectively guardians of IPs and property would be taxing, but I find it probably the most enjoyable thing, because you'll go and I talk to the guys at Marvel like pretty much twice a week, 3 times a week, and when we're talking, it's always a creative conversation. You know, I'll be going and saying, you know what, I've got this kind of idea where I want to put this character in, and it's going to do this quirky thing here, and they're like, okay, that's cool, but if you're going to put that character, you may as well add this and this as well, or why don't you get them to do this? Or it's always a very positive kind of influence on the game.
Right.
Whereas sometimes you read horror stories about other games that have worked with different people and they've had nightmares. I find it a really positive thing, and the same with Lego. We've worked with Lego for, I can't remember now, 13 years, maybe 14 years, and it's awesome. Those guys are just the same.
It probably helps that they're both working with you, but they're also both working with each other. There are Lego Marvel sets.
Exactly,
so.
And it's that synergy. It's everyone is pulling together to make the best end product. It's all about the fact we want to make the best game as a developer. Lego want the best game because they have really high standards in the quality of everything they are involved with, and then Marvel want the best game because ultimately their characters are incredibly precious to us, but them, and everyone wants it to be the best it can be. If someone's going to go out and spend, I don't know, however many dollars it is to buy the game, you want them to have like a good feeling about that. You don't want anyone to go, why did I spend that money? You want it to be like, yeah, that was a great investment.
And when you're planning or conceptualizing, do you look at like Lego sets that are coming, like or the new batch?
Always, kind of always, because here's the thing: our games are bought, not necessarily always just on day one. They can be bought several years later.
Right.
The first game is still selling now, 4 years on. Well, it could well be that there are things coming up from Marvel and Lego the year after launch. Mm-hmm. Well, someone might want to see that in the game. So we'll always try and, I guess the word's future-proof, but we'll always try and make sure we covered all our bases. We're going to keep everybody happy, because our games kind of seem to be popular perennially.
Yeah, this was all my backdoor way of like sneaking into like, are they going to release an actual Lego Gwen Stacy?
Oh wow, that would be awesome, right? That would be super cool.
But is your office littered with Lego sets, just like everywhere?
Yeah, everywhere. There is there is Lego and pieces of Lego and like various minifigures everywhere, and not just on my desk. On all of the 240 odd people, I think it is. Yeah, there's just Lego everywhere, which is good because like you go in and the office has a really uplifted feel.
Are you more of a builder or more of a instruction manual?
The guys in the office will tell you I am awful. I'll go. We actually have a models group that builds stuff out of Lego properly for the game, and I'll go down to look, and we'll be talking about something. Oh yeah, look, here's what we've done, and I'll pick it up, and I always break it. Always break stuff. So I'm an instruction manual guy. I grew up as a builder, but now I'm kind of more of a collector.
You want the cool model thing that you don't
I want to make
apart.
it,
Yeah.
and there it stays.
And then put it on my
there.
Put it on my desk. Yes.
Yeah. However, I don't get that sometimes. If I take stuff home, it ends up being merged with all the other Lego sets.
Yeah, of course.
And so, where's my? Oh no! It's like, and it's been.
Oh no, my
into
Millennium
something
Falcon
else.
is now something else.
It's now in Heart Lake City or something. Yeah. But
So when is it coming?
so the game's out on November the 14th on PC, Switch, Xbox One, and PS4. It's obviously available to pre-order now. There's a really cool deluxe edition as well that I think it's got the season pass and also classic Guardians of the Galaxy. So
cool.
they're really cool. Charlie 27 and some other. Basically, before Guardians of the Galaxy were in the movies and cool, it's like these guys kind of started it off
The
way
OG
back when.
70s kind.
Yeah.
Cool.
So there's a load of cool stuff coming, but yeah, pretty soon.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, thank you.
And we will be back with more from Shacknews at E3 2017.